Who are these people?
Kirsten Seminar, we have not heard about her for a while. And I feel like this may, no, we've talked about her, but not often.
Yeah.
But, you know, where there's cinema, there's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But we know Sinema is actually the face behind the actual corruption that is taking place. So, surprise, surprise, she's connected to Silicon National Bank. Those of you in the chat will probably know all of that situation by now. So this article, once again, double duty for Brett. And this is what he wrote. Galileo says lobbyists bought Sinema's vote that resulted in bank collapse. When bank lobbyists asked me to weaken bank regulations, I said no. When they asked Senator Sinema, she asked how much and voted yes, said the Democratic Arizona congressman who is running for Sinema's Senate seat. So basically, he's her challenge right now in Arizona. So anyway, Brett continues. Democratic Arizona Congressman Ruben Gallego on Tuesday accused Senator Kirsten Sinema, who he hopes to oust from the U.S. Senate next year, of playing a major role in the Silicon Valley Bank collapse by taking campaign contributions from lobbyists that represented the bank and then opted to deregulate it. Political reports that Sinema was one of numerous members of Congress to take campaign donations from Bank Square Group, which once counted Silicon Valley Bank among its clients. In 2018, Sinema, then a Democrat serving in the House of Representatives, received more than $8,000 from lobbyists before she voted for Senator Mike Crapo's Economic Growth, Regulatory Relief, and Consumer Protection Act. So that's the act basically that, essentially deregulated this bank. So she sided with Republicans in order to ensure that. Before falling down to loosen bank safeguards, Sinema received over $100,000 from big banks. Among those who bought Sinema's vote were three Silicon Valley Bank lobbyists that maxed out, Rubin said in a campaign email. Simply put, she voted to give the banks free rein, and I did not. The SVB collapse is a direct result of Kirsten Sinema's choice to side with big banks over everyday Arizonans. Dubbed the Bank Lobbyist Act by critics, the law rolled back the Dodd-Frank Act, which was passed in the wake of the 2007-08 global financial meltdown, and exempted banks with between $50 billion and $250 billion in assets from rigorous stress testing and capital requirements. Both Silicon National Bank and Signature Bank, which are both now under federal government control, qualify for the medium-sized bank exemption. Sinema argued at that time that these important reforms will help protect the financial security of Arizonans young and old as they plan for home ownership, a college education, or a stable retirement. Galileo asked Monday, what's the difference between Senator Sinema and me? When bank lobbyists asked me to weaken bank regulations, I said no. When they asked Senator Sinema, she asked how much and voted yes. Now we're all going to pay for her mistake. On Twitter Tuesday, Galileo wrote that the Silicon National Bank collapse is a direct result of Kirsten Sinema's choice to side with big banks over everyday Arizonans. FEC's records and public lobbying reports showed that the free SVB lobbyists maxed out donations to Sinema ahead of the 2018 Dodd-Frank rollback, which led to the collapse, Galileo continued, referring to the Federal Election Commission. Sinema is in the pocket of Wall Street, and her vote put hardworking Arizonans, their families, and their small business at risk of another 2008-like meltdown. Arizonans deserve a leader in the Senate who will fight for them, not Wall Street, he added. Sinema is not that person, and Arizonans know it. Sinema was far from alone in taking campaign cash from SVB's lobbyists and Political Action Committee. We'll get to that in a moment. As Politico's Haley Hughes, Jessica Piper, and Holly Audubon note, between 2017 and 2022, Silicon Valley Bank's PAC gave more than $50,000 to the campaigns of nearly 24 senators and representatives, according to the filings with the Federal Election Commission. The donations largely went to members, Republicans and Democrats, who served on relevant committees, including the House Financial Services Committee or Senate Finance Committee. Senator Mark Warner and Representative Pat McHenry received the most from the PAC, each bringing in $7,500 over this 6-year period. SVB CEO Greg Becker also made maximum individual donations to the campaigns of Warner and Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer during the 2022 cycle, the reporters add, citing FEC records. Sinema, who has been accused of cartoonish-level corruption for coziness with corporations and lobbyists, was exonerated on Tuesday's Daily Beast article by Mike Daly, who called the senator a wolf for Wall Street. Daly took aim at Sinema's Sunday statement, asserting that the federal government must now ensure those responsible for the SCB collapse are held accountable while maintaining stability for all Americans who rely on our banking system. Sinema needs only step in front of a mirror to find a prime suspect, wrote Daly. Whether she's calling herself a Democrat or independent, her voting record is the same, and it marks her as a shill for the banking industry. Any thoughts so far, Reef?
Well, I mean, this is essentially, they were all taking money from these banks pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you probably have it later, but I think I saw Gavin Newsom was directly taking from SFB.
Well, you know what? Let's play a game.
Okay.
In the chat. I feel a little feisty today. I'm curious. So it mentioned, so as I said, Sinema is not the only one that's taken money from Silicon National Bank. Who would you guess in the chat also took money from SCB? So put your so Reef, I don't think you saw it, but name a name of who you think.
I mean, we're in California, so Nancy probably is involved. Gavin, I saw. I know it's also a tech startup, so it could be any New Yorker, it could be Mitch McConnell, it could be like you know.
So your usual cast of characters. Okay. Yeah. Let me know in the chat who you think. But I will get to Galileo in a second because he's Sinema's challenge right now, or planning to be.
Right.
Here's the thing with him. Because people are like, oh, he's so progressive or whatever else and blah, blah, blah. And I remember checking him out a while back. He's just as corporate as everybody. Well, he's a Democrat, so he's just as corporate as everybody else. So I really feel like he's only saying this now because it's easy to say anything against Sinema right now.
Yeah.
But assuming if he beats her and he ends up in the Senate, he'll do the exact same shit that Sinema is doing, guaranteed.
Gotcha.
So that's just my take on it. I just feel like, as I said, it's just easy for him to call her out, but he's a part of the Democratic Party as well. So that being said, so I had to look into open secrets. So again, this information is public. Okay. So this is what I pulled up just before chat. So the contributions that you see here, this is this year. No, actually last year, 2022.
Gotcha.
So Silicon National Bank made over $50,000 in contributions last year. So if you zoom out, I will show you. And again, this is from last year. So I didn't go like real deep because I think they have records up until 2014. I just took it from last year. So let's see who took some money from this financial group. So you probably have to zoom in. So Mark Warner, Chucky Boy Schumer, of course. Stu Barnes Israel, not sure who he is. See that next name? Pastor Warnock. Pastor Warnock took some money.
Pastor Warnock.
Josh Harder, Cora Newman, Gregory Meeks, the DNC Services Corporation.
Oh, of course. That sounds like an evil corp right there.
Right. Adam Laxalt, Dave McCormick. It gets better.
Oh, shit. The one at the bottom. Okay, go ahead.
Recognize this name? Mr. John
Fetterman.
I had a stroke. Fetterman.
Oh, no. So hold on. So we got Schumer.
So the ones we know, Schumer, Warnock, and Fetterman. The ones that we know and love, right?
Dave McCormick of the Spice Mogul Empire, McCormick. But sure. I don't know.
But there's a few more. Again, this was from last year.
Okay, this is just from last year, so you could go back like even farther. So we could
go back even farther. So
the Massachusetts Democratic State Committee, the Senate Majority PAC,
Val Demings, Sharon Beasley, Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, Tim Ryan,
the Lincoln Project.
The Lincoln
what do we
Project.
know at the Lincoln Project? Who do we know at the Lincoln Project? What's the one that Saga's friend is part of?
No, that's Hudson Institute, right?
Okay. I think
Marshall. That's Marshall, I believe you're thinking of.
Yeah. Hassan Maggie, Kelly Mark.
Okay.
Campaign committee. Go ahead.
Committee. So
Adam Schiff.
Didn't take that much.
Mike Franken.
Tom
Nelson. Joseph Biden.
Although, if you look, there's a negative balance. So I'm wondering if he gave them money.
Might have.
That's what I don't know. I've never seen that before.
He might have given them money, which is even weirder.
He gave them money.
Okay.
So the question is, why would he give them money?
Yeah.
So, so not some surprises.
Yep.
But given that this is the Democratic Party, this really shouldn't be a surprise. But point being, and this was a short segment, just, Kirsten's Sinema is getting the blame, per usual. But she's just the face of the corruption that we see in the Democratic Party. She's a willing participant. And she's basically, a cop block for the rest of them who are doing the same shit. So really, my thing is for Galileo is fine to call her out. What about the rest of them? Because it seems like you did your research on her in terms of figuring out all of this information regarding her. Why not call out the rest of the Democratic Party? Because you want to do the same. As I said, you want to do the same shit. It's easy to call the one that you're running against, just to get her seat. But once you get her seat, you're going to do the same corruption as well. So really, you're bullshit in terms of, finding in the guise of, oh, I want to help the people in Arizona. No, you just want to do the same shit so you can do the same. You just want her out so you can do the same shit and then be just as corrupt as the rest of these goons.
Yep. Terrible.
Yeah. So, well,
shame.
Well,
shame.
Well, the slightly good. Well, actually, this is these were the bad stories. I feel like we've just been on a tear as of
Mhm.
late, actually reporting depressing stories.
Yeah.
Now, at least these last two are a little more hopeful,
Yeah, I
right?
think a kind of there's some wizardry at work, as always, but
Well, some
um,
promise, I would say, at least for yours, right?
yeah, a little bit. So Illinois